You've mentioned inference time reasoning a few times now. It's clearly a new vector of scaling intelligence. And I read some of your analysis recently about how inference time reasoning is way more compute intensive, right, than simply pre-train, scaling pre-training. Why don't you walk us through? We have a really interesting graph here about why that's the case that we'll post as well. But why don't you walk us through first just kind of what inference time reasoning is from the perspective of compute consumption, why it's so much more compute intensive, and so leading to the conclusion that if this is in fact going to continue to scale as a new vector of intelligence, it looks like it's going to be even more compute intensive than what came before it.
Yeah, so pre-training may be slowing out or it's too expensive, but there's these other aspects of synthetic data generation and inference time compute. Inference time compute is, on the surface, sounds amazing, right? I don't need to spend more training a model. But when you think about it for a second, this is actually very, very, this is not the way you want to scale. You only do that because you have to, right? Think about it. GPT-4 was trained with hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's generating billions of dollars of revenue.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions of dollars to train GPT-4.
Yep.
And it's generating billions of dollars of revenue. So when you say like, hey, Microsoft's CapEx is nuts, sure, but their spend on GPT-4 was very reasonable relative to the ROI they're getting out of it, right? Now, when you say, hey, I want the next gain, if I just spend, sort of a large amount of capital and train a better model, awesome. But if I don't have to spend that large amount of capital and I deploy it, I deploy this better model without, at the time of revenue generation rather than ahead of time when I'm training the model, this also sounds awesome. But this comes with this big trade-off, right? When you're running reasoning, right, you're having the model generate a lot. And then the answer is only a portion of that, right? Today, when you open up ChatGPT, you use GPT-4, 4.0, you say something, you get a response.
Correct.
You send something, you get a response, whatever it is, right? All of the stuff that's being generated is being sent to you. Now you're having this reasoning phase, right? And OpenAI doesn't want to show you, but there's some open source Chinese models like Alibaba and DeepSeek. They've released some open source models, which are not quite as good as OpenAI, of course, but they show you what that reasoning looks like if you want to. And OpenAI has released some examples. It generates tons of things. It's like, it sometimes switches between Chinese and English, right? Like whatever it is, it's thinking, right? It's churning. Right. It's like this. Oh, should I do it this way? Should I break it down in these steps? And then it comes out with an answer, right? Now, on the surface, awesome. I didn't have to spend any more on R&D or capital, right? I'm saying this in the loose terms. They don't treat training models as R&D. I think on Microsoft on a financial basis, but they don't have to treat this. They don't have this R&D ahead of time, right? You get it at spend time. But think about what that means, right? If for you, right? For example, one simple thing that we've done a lot of tests on is, hey, generate me this code, right? Like make this function. Great. I describe the function in, a few hundred words. I get back a response that's, 1,000 words. Awesome. And I'm paying per token. Right. When I do this with O1 or any other reasoning model, I'm sending the same response, right? A few hundred tokens. I'm paying for that. I'm getting the same response, roughly, 1,000 tokens. But in the middle, there was 10,000 tokens of it thinking.
Right.
Now, what does that 10,000 tokens of thinking actually mean? It means, well, the model's spitting out 10 times as many tokens. Well, if Microsoft's generating, call it $10 billion of inference revenue, and their margins on that are good, they've stated this, right? They're anywhere from 50 to 70%, depending on how you count the OpenAI profit share, anywhere from 50 to 70% gross margins. Their cost for that is a few $1 billion for $10 billion of revenue.
Right.
Now, obviously, the better model gets to charge more, right? So O1 does charge a lot more, but you're now increasing your cost from, hey, I outputted 1,000 tokens to I outputted 11,000 tokens. I've 10x'd my spend to generate, now, not the same thing, right? It's higher quality,
correct.
Right?